we have a clean face. I guess you put a base on. I did not do skincare for the longest time. A lot of people tell me like, oh, you have acne because you wear makeup. Wrong. I love hearing that assumption though. It makes me giggle. I had acne far before I actually started doing and experimenting with makeup. I was doing makeup 3-4 years ago. I've had acne since I was an adolescent, okay? My biggest problem is that I like pick at my skin, which is why you can see like I just took my nails off. So like I'm like, ah, yes, I can finally. For the longest time I didn't do skincare besides like washing my face off. And even then in the beginning, like it was not good. I was using like vegetable oil to melt my makeup off, and we'll get there, but a friend of mine was like, hey, esthetician here, do you want to not do that? Here's a product for you. Please use it. I've been using the Bobbi Brown face base and I really like it. And usually if you go to like Ulta or something, they'll have like a buy one, get one for their like smaller jars, which is really nice. I've had a lot of face bases that like sting for some reason. Well, if I'm gonna put a face base on to like my makeup, like I might as well make my skin happy. Like whatever makes your skin happy, put that between your skin and your makeup. Let's move on. Next is eyebrows. A lot of people think this is very challenging. It is not the easiest in the world to do. Where is my glue stick? I recently rearranged my entire vanity, so bear with me. Well, I ran out of patience, so y'all get a brand new one. A brand new one. There's technique to this a little bit, but mostly it's just practice. We have our washable school disposable purple. Disappearing. Good morning. To preface this, I know a lot of people who kind of like brush the eyebrows up their brow. I'm not going to do that because I think it almost gives me more texture, which is the opposite point of gluing your brows. So bear that in mind as I explain what I'm doing. You're gonna like it. Kind of loosens up the agent a little bit, and I start just grinding it in. It doesn't have to look pretty at first. We'll get there. Kind of like saturate it is the point. Sometimes I'll just kind of go around and see if there's any extra hairs that are poking out. I tend to have hairs like in the middle of here that just straight out of my face. And I just kind of go with the shape of my brow. I think going outside of the shape of your brow kind of works in the end to fight your makeup. At least that's my experience. I'll clean up the edge a little bit, just because that is also kind of a lump. We got this with wet glue. I'm gonna take my powder. And for this, I like to take like the most generous amount. That looks so gross, I'm sorry. Of powder, because if you don't, then your eyebrow is gonna stick to your puff and then you're gonna be upset. So we just take that and press it. I like to press it as hard as I can. So then any kind of like texture that was there with the glue, with the pressing hard of it, it just kind of like flattens it. We are going to take a thing and just brush it off real gently. Still looks kind of gross. I usually do 2 passes because I have thick brows. I'll usually wait for this to dry. So let's do the second one. So now that I have glue and powder in here, it's kind of already its own paste. So I'll take, I don't want this to be wet anymore, but like I still want it to be a little tacky. When I do my second pass, all the cracks that are still there are filled in. And this is gonna be a lot light, because you know how I like went in and I was like, this is gonna be a much lighter pass, a much lighter touch. So you don't wanna mess up really what you just did. So I kind of do little light brush strokes with the glue stick. And I like it a little bit more often because again, we're not grinding it in there, so we don't quite have the pressure. And like, if it's smoother, if it's like, if it can glide a little bit better, that'll like give it a smoother application. And press it in again. And you can kind of see already how much, I don't know if you can see how much smoother that is. I am, after all, just filming on my phone, but, right? Like you can kind of still see the texture in this one, but this one's pretty smooth. Moving on. Next one. I didn't cover my brows for the longest time. I was like, that's dumb. Why would I need to do that? It came to a point where I was just like, my eyebrows are something that if they weren't there, I would have so many more options to like paint and express and experiment. I started to learn how to cover my brows because I wanted to paint new brows or have no brows or have giant triangles. You can see that like smoothed out. I always have this one little like niche right there, but we love her, so she can stay. That was the most boring part of this. I hope you made it through it. I feel like brows is somehow the most technical and the most boring, which is usually how it goes. Let's move along, shall we? I don't remember if I kind of went in depth about my foundation in the last video. I'll talk about it here. I use the Sunset Makeup Colorful Foundation. Bless Tabby, my nail artist, for telling me that this is what the TikTok goth girlies do. Before this, I was using paint sticks, like Krylon. Before that, even, I was using just the Mayron's like tub of white, Clown White Light. And I had even tried out like the Ben Nye paint stick. And all of them were kind of like, meh. You know, the Clown White Light is just grease paint. The texture is not like the greatest. The application was always a little patchy for me. And then I went to Krylon's TV paint stick, and that was like a much more thick, even application. But like I said, it was thick and it was still kind of heavy. My face did suffer from that one, in conjunction with the fact that I didn't know how to wash off my makeup. I have tried to buy large tubs of this. I'm like, hey, do you guys have any like larger bottles or like do like bulk discount prices or whatever? Because like I'm going to be using this for the rest of my life. That's how much I love it. That's how much I recommend it. Let's get into applying it, shall we? So this is a foundation, which means, oh, and here's the other note. This is water-based. I saw Tilly the Clown said something about how this formula, because it's water-based, if you have dry skin, it might dry you out. So keep that in mind if you have dry skin. Maybe Krylon paint stick will be better for you. But that's certainly not the case for me. I'm gonna say this is a foundation, so it wears pretty light. I've had this on for like 15-hour days with no problem. With a Krylon paint stick, I would like be expressive and be acting, and like by the end of the night, I would have like all the cracks in my face, right? I'd be like, wow, I look horrific. Ah! And with this, it's pretty thin. So like after like a long day, there's not that much visible wear. I'm sure you can see this first wipe of application is pretty patchy. I also have a damp makeup sponge. There's a leaf blower and I can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it, but I hate that I can hear it. We're just gonna assume that you can't hear it. I'm gonna be anxious though. I usually have music going, so it's far enough away that I think if I had music, like, it would be no biggie, but because I'm recording and can like hear the environment around me, I'm like, ew. We're gonna leave some music in there for me. The first wipe of application can be a little patchy, and that's okay. I usually just slap it on and then the second application will cover the patchiness. The technique I heard, put the makeup, if you're doing a full face, that is, put the makeup up into your hairline, makes it look a little bit more natural, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. At the time I was wearing wigs, so it kind of didn't matter. I was wearing hard front wigs, which I still have some, but I have become a connoisseur of lace fronts because they're a lot more comfy. Apologies, I know this is kind of boring, but we're gonna get through this and then get to the fun part, I swear. I'm sure you can already kind of see how, like, evened out that's become versus that side. So Sometimes with the brow area, I'll just take like a smidge and just kind of like tap it in there because your brows are still probably going to have a little bit of holes in them. Something I also didn't used to do was powder my foundation before I did anything else. I also realized when I would like make facial expressions to like, you know, get my eyeliner or whatever, like it would crinkle my brow and then there would be like creases in it. You live and you learn. I now make a practice of powdering my wet foundation before I do anything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Sometimes I'll leave it for a minute. I left it a lot longer when I had just like a cream base makeup. The foundation absorbs the powder pretty quick. My poor mic. You made it. I made it. We made it. Finally, we get to have fun. We get to have fun. Why is there there we go. Around this point is when I would probably bring up like my inspiration pictures just to like refresh myself on what I want to experiment with, what I want to try. Like that's literally the fun of clowning is like you get to experiment, you get to have fun, you get to just do whatever. So I need you to remember that as we go through this, and like if you make a mistake or if it doesn't come out the way you want, like there's always something else. There's always something else. You can always do something else. Like I can't tell you the amount of mistakes that I've made on my face that I'm like, oh wait, you know what? Actually, if we just, and then perfect. If I want you to have one takeaway from this video is that clown makeup is a practice, not a performance. It is also a performance, but it's as much a practice as it is a performance. Getting to have fun with the process of getting made up and the joy of just putting colors on your face in certain ways and playing with shapes. What colors do I want to work with? The exciting queen pin. Also, have you guys noticed that Trixie puts like little asterisks next to some of these? Like all of these but 3 are like, hey, don't apply, what does it say? Are not for use around immediate eye area. They're eyeshadows. I'm sure a lot of you are probably like makeup masters and have been doing your own makeup for like years and are just wanting to shift it into clown makeup. I think I came at it backwards because I did clown makeup first. Like I tried as a kid doing makeup on my face and I was like, wow, this looks and feels awful. I hate it. I kind of make the joke of like, yeah, I grew up in musical theater, but I didn't touch any makeup, wigs, or costumes, working with like the sound, the lights, and the set, and, you know, management. I had no techniques, I had no experience, I had nothing when it came to makeup. To you guys who may have more experience with makeup, trying to do more clown makeup, I apologize, I don't know if I exactly have anything for you. Aside from like, I don't know, experiment, have fun. I think honestly the fastest way to experiment is to mess up. Part of the fun for me was that I had no idea what I was doing. It was all just trying things and seeing what worked. If you are already like, I know all the special applications and blah, 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 bring yourself back to the days where you didn't. The amount of eyeliner shapes that I experimented with before I was like, oh, this is the one that my face likes. This gives the impact, you know? Literally, just throw shapes at your face and see what sticks. This is usually the first thing I do if I'm not quite sure what I want. This is an easy starting point of just like, well, I know I need some color in my cheeks because otherwise there's nothing going on. Now that I have some color on my face, I can just keep putting more color. Just keep doing it. Maybe challenge yourself. That's also like very clowny. It's like challenge yourself, right? Like I haven't used these colors in a while. Or oh my God. I'm gonna chalk this up to the fact that all my stuff is rearranged. I usually do an eye base, which, slow down. Holograve Eye Cultist. I used to just put all the foundation all over my face. But the thing about Sunset Makeup is it does sting in your eyes. I think Sunset Makeup has their own eye base, but it wasn't quite to my liking. But I've been buying Holograve's wet pigments for a while, and on one of the orders. I was like, yeah, I don't know, try it. Let's see how it goes. They also have a whole bunch of different colors of this. Their whole point is to like have colors that you can like mix to make any color that you want, which I think is really, really cool. I've been following Holograve for a couple of years now, and mwah, just, okay. So maybe we'll do like a deep purple. Yeah, okay. We're just going for it, folks. We're just going for it. So at this point, I just kind of dissociate and just let my brush do. I kind of like let it fall into the shapes of my face. And from there, I'm like, okay, but maybe I want like a circle or a triangle, or maybe I want to like elongate it somehow, like, and then we'll go from there. Let's try and make just big circles at the corner of my eye. You're literally getting to play with shapes, colors, and edges. Experiment and see what you like and what you don't. There are certainly makeup looks that I had like years ago that I'm like, oh, frightening. All right. And that was part of like the growth or the evolution of query, is that I did end up making a very pretty clown. The way I made money was by standing on the street as a statue, and people would come up and tip me and take a picture. And there was an element of, I need to not be terribly scary for people, because I'm already, the premise of me is already pretty like uncanny valley, eerie vibes. But that might not be your application. You might be a haunt clown, you might be a birthday clown. That's the coolest part about this, is like, this is all up to you. Something that's also really saved me is these little like spongy brush, the dry brush cleaner, because I don't clean my brushes. What? I used to do makeup and it took me like 4 hours to do my makeup because I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning on the spot, being able to have time if I needed to like, you know, wash it off and redo it. The excitement also of having a deadline of like, okay, well, I gotta be out of the door, you know, by 9 p.m. and we gotta get this makeup done, and like almost like the stress, the pressure cooker of like, well, if you fuck up, you have foundation, powder, and glue on your face that is going to take a whole lot of time to take off, and a lot more time to reapply if you really messed up and like need to actually, you know, redo the entirety of this. Or you can make this a happy mistake. Like I said, from like my farmer's market stuff, I don't really do crazy makeup. I realized it was a little bit of a deterrent for people to approach me. I kind of learned how to tone it down for the farmer's market a little bit. I say tone down looking like this, right? Okay. Let's do some eyeliner. I use Mehron's Paradise. I got their big palette of like, of colors. You've probably heard me talk about this, but like I would put them, because they're magnetic, I took them out and I put them in little old eyelash containers. I used to do my makeup in my car. So I was like traveling with these in a little travel case in my car to do my makeup in my car, and then walk downtown and find out where I wanted to busk. Nuts. But I still do like these little travel cases. They're also like just very nice and small on my vanity rather than the like giant container that they come in. So anyway, I ran out of all the black and got myself a replacement. Really like this formula that they have. Sorry if you have tryptophilia. Tryptophobia? Whatever. You're welcome if you have tryptophilia. Mehron is the only formula I like. I've tried Krylon's wet paint. I've tried Ben Nye's wet paint. I've been disappointed by both. This one has a very like creamy texture and they're very opaque. Some of these things are very transparent, which is like you need to apply it like a couple of times to like get the saturation that I want, which I'm like, the one thing I do like from Krylon is their brushes. Tory number 3 brush. I used to do like a line and then like multiple lashes off of it, and like there was just, I was chasing a vibe and that wasn't quite hitting it, but it was pretty close. And finally I was like, I'm just gonna do, if I can figure out a way to apply something that's kind of like, right? Like y'all have seen it. I didn't realize until later, like there's this thing in clown makeup. Again, never formally trained, okay? I learned in clowning there's this thing called live eye, and I think it's like 2 little lines or whatever, like not on your eye, but like by your cheeks, so you can kind of like see the movement of the face without, you know, being terribly close to it. I saw that and I was like, oh, That's what I do. That's okay. There we go. That's the thing is like with clown makeup, there's so much you can do. Feels a little bit intimidating. Something you can do is just be like, I'm gonna experiment with one part of my face. There was a moment in time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna experiment with, I really limited myself to red and black because those were the colors I had in my wardrobe. It was easy to match an outfit to it. And if I just limited myself to red and black and like maybe like an orange for the cheeks or something, I could really hone in what I was doing with the shapes of my face, with the shading of it, without having to worry about what other colors are gonna go with what other colors. I was able to focus on like how and where to apply it more. I forget where I was going with that. Oh yeah, find a like, choose a thing to experiment with every day. Like I would experiment with like the shape of the eyeshadow. I would experiment with the shape of the eyeliner. I would experiment with the shape of my lips or my eyebrows. So I think I have a lot of like creative freedom still with a lot of those things. I feel like I've definitely like fallen into the trap of like formulaic makeup at this point, which was again the point. I wanted to have a brandable character. I have my signatures on like the eyeliner is pretty signature, the lashes below are pretty signature, the nose shape and the lip shape are pretty signature. That's like the bones of the face, so I can like experiment. And that's what I mean about like quick versus like take your time but also be quick, because sometimes with these things it's like, okay, we're set up, quick. You don't have to be fast. Fast is like I messed up. It's a practiced hand, and even with a practiced hand I'll still mess these up and be like, whatever. In my search for a bigger variety of wet paint colors, it's called Moonwater. It's by Holograve Cosmetics. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I buy this all with my own money and, you know, the bank's money. Point being, I don't have like a discount code for you or anything, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not being paid to advertise this. I'm just really, really happy with this formula and how it's very similar to Mayron, because it's like very creamy, very like opaque. You're gonna see like, let me let me show you. I think I was looking at Grim Petals and I was like, oh, I like the shape of the nose that you do. That's cool. It didn't dawn on me until like I think I was looking at Red Nose Factory for like actual rubber noses, which I don't use because I think they're great noses, but they just don't fit my application. But I was looking at them, I was like, you know, maybe shopping for one, and I was like, that's literally the shape, one of these is literally the shape of my nose. I can literally just paint that onto my, okay. So I started doing a more like defined nose. I've had people be like, oh my God, I love the color of your nose. Where did you get it? Thanks, I grew it myself. I painted it. So I think that's very funny. I find that quite entertaining. These are the larger sizes, and I have a couple of the smaller sizes in case y'all want to know like what the $13 one versus like the $7 or $8 one is. If it's any testament as to my love for this brand, I want to do something on my cheeks. I want to have something fun on my cheeks. Usually I'll do like little darts, and maybe have some like filigree around that or something. An honorable mention for wet paint is Glisten Cosmetics. I got this deep turquoise and very similar formula to Mayron and Moonwater. Problem is though, they're from the UK and they're a little pricey, so if you don't want to pay that shipping, go find Holograve, okay? Let's do some little spirals on my cheeks. I think that would be cute. Will it be too subtle? No. To the other side. You must absolutely beat yourself up if they're not completely even. I'm kidding. I actually like when they're not even. Your face isn't even, okay? Come off it. Some like spikes up top. Let's try that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if I'm not sure about an application, I'll like do it on my hand before I'm like, okay, so like what's like the right? Like what's the follow through, right? So you get an idea before you put it on your face. I don't do that as much anymore, but that is also a technique if you would like. Oh, well, we're just gonna roll with that. Okay, I was gonna test something out, and we are committing to it now. Yep. All right, that might have been it. That might have been the thing to rebalance the brows. Oh, I forgot I was gonna do gold on my lids. Let's do that. Okay. So I'm gonna put this polished color on like the insides of my lids. Yeah. My makeup used to really just not complement my eyes, which is fine. Complimenting your eyes is not necessarily the point of, you know, clown makeup or makeup in general even. But again, as a performer, as someone who is going out on the street and making income from interacting with people, it was I think it was really important to bring out the eyes a little bit more. It's so interesting seeing how manipulating your face in different ways can like garner different reactions from people. I usually get this far in the makeup, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired. This is over, right? And then I'm like, lips, it's the lips. If I'm having fun, if I'm sitting down and having fun with makeup and experimenting and doing it for myself, I will let myself do it for like 3 to 5 hours. I have also like gotten my makeup down to a science at this point where I can like sit down and knock out a face in like under an hour if I need. And like I feel like it's a conversation. Like it's almost like a meditation because you're in a conversation with yourself of like, okay, do I want to do this? Let's try that. Oh no, this mistake happened. Okay, how can we work with it? Like there's an element of hyper focus I feel like I can get with makeup. So I'm covering out my lips because applying lipstick on top of white foundation will dilute the color. If the lipstick is actually laying on your skin and not like foundation and that's laying on your skin, like it'll wear a little bit better too, like it'll wear a little bit longer. I remember when I started covering up my lips, I was like, oh, this is so like tedious and annoying and ugh. But I really do think it pays off. And part of it is like, I know what lip shape I go to now. I know what lip shape I use. So like I can easily carve it out. Before I was just doing like, I don't know what lip shape I'm doing and we're just gonna put paint on my face and that was fine too. I want some stars. I want some stars on my face. I'm going to go put some shimmer on this nose. Yeah. So pearly. Because it's different, it's intriguing, and that's, I think, a big part of clown is like, you get to be different. You get to be not the person that people perceive you to be. You get to play with people's expectations. You get to play with your own. You get to play with your own expression. And so, like, what are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that? Like, where will that take you? This looks very matchy, but it's the mauve. Not quite what I want. Also, like, I got, this formula is okay, but I got their like turquoise stuff because again, I think for some reason blue and turquoise has been like really like creeping its way into my life and I'm not arguing with it. But I was like, I need a turquoise. I want a turquoise lip so bad. I don't know. There's one from a company that I was like, ooh, that's perfect, but of course it's all sold out. So I found Kaleidos, and they're like, it's their like lip clay, I guess it's called. Their turquoise is very, very pretty, but the texture is quite not to my liking. So this is a little pink. That's a little bit more in line with the, oh, but like this kind of does match the pink. Lip liner? Lip liner? Maybe. I'm also, I'm also the one who uses eyeliners as lip liners. Liners were another thing that took me a long time to like come around to. And I still do this, but I used to just take like a nice angled brush and like the edges of it. Okay, well, I ended up using a lime crime lip anyway. I don't, people, apparently lime crime is a very divisive brand. All I knew is I was looking for some like really funky color lips stick, like orange, right? That you don't really typically get. And I found them on Lime Crime, and not only did they have a lot of funky colors, but they were like super discounted. In hindsight, I think it was just the company being like, we're doing away with the makeup. Nobody fucking talk about this anymore. But who knows? I was also experimenting with lip shapes and everything. I knew I didn't really want to do like the continuation of the mouth, the way that like a lot of horror clowns might look. Because again, I was like, that's, you know, scary. And I might try and get more into that now that I'm not as heavily relying on my busking income. I'm really excited to like be doing YouTube because I think like I'm excited to experiment with makeup again, and I'm excited to just like have fun with it again. I like I said, I've gotten into a very like formulaic, just lock in and go way of doing makeup, and I'm like, well, I have all this gorgeous, wonderful makeup, and I'm doing like the same thing every day with it. So I really moved everything around and can't find a single thing, can I? Okay, here we go. Eesh. I really love the gold on my lids too. I love colors, and I'll probably talk more about it in like a video where I'm talking about clothing more and like thrifting and kind of like dressing yourself. I kind of like relegated myself to only a few colors for my makeup so I could like really hone my skill when it came to like shapes and application and all that good stuff. And I kind of did the same with my wardrobe of like, okay, it's gonna be black, white, and red. And eventually I was like, yeah, and gold looks really good with these things. Like, okay, but gold is also like really similar to orange and yellow. So like those can like also like start coming into the mix. And like, okay, you know what else? Like I need like a softer clown. Like pink is really nice. These are the kind of pinks that I like. And like pink and red also looks really good. And like pink and black and white, they all like, you know, I can like work pink into my closet more because it's almost gonna work with every single other item that I have. I was like, okay, this is my color scheme, this is it. And then a turquoise item came in, and I was like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? And turquoise and pink look really good together. And like just kind of like the shades of pink that I had and like the shade of turquoise that I had, like all really meshed well together. And like I said, I like try and avoid red and blue because you get it. Red and green too, because again, very Christmassy, don't want to, you know, kind of want to avoid that. But like red and turquoise looks pretty good. Pink and turquoise looks really good. Purple also. I don't have many like purple items in my closet. For a while I was like, purple is an old lady's color. Purple and pink look really good together. Turquoise and purple look really good together. Purple and yellow look really good together. So I'm gonna do my lashes. This was yet another thing in my makeup journey that I was like, ugh, I guess I gotta figure out how to do lashes. Oh my God. For a long time, I just had enough eyeliner that it didn't really matter. Like I just kind of threw mascara on because that's all I thought I needed, which was fine. I was very frustrated with figuring out how to apply lashes for a long time. I was just like, I don't know how to do this. I was like, I can figure this out. Like it's annoying as hell, and I'm kind of like kicking and screaming about it in the moment, but like I'm determined to figure this out because I do think being able to apply lashes will heighten the looks that I'm trying to achieve. Of course, I got like the Ardell wispies, but I had been seeing Eldora lashes for a while, and I didn't really clock them necessarily until my friend Cunty was wearing a pair, and I was like, where? Where did you get those? And they were like, Eldora. So I went, again, it's a UK brand. I haven't seen any lashes like Eldora lashes outside of the UK, so like that's one that you're gonna have to be paying shipping on to get if you want. I was fortunate enough to have the money to get like a bulk order because I was like, I'm not paying $20 every time I need a pair of lashes. So I have hoarded a bunch. They've lasted me quite a while. I still have a whole bunch in storage. I also really like these because, I don't know, I feel like some of the other brands that I had were really stiff. I know some people are like, yeah, trim them or whatever. Sometimes with a new pair of lashes, I'll just kind of like, I don't know if you can even see that. I'll just like kind of like massage them and like break the structure, so to speak. Your eyes are very sensitive. Your eyes are really thin pieces of skin. Sorry to have said it like that. With a really stiff lash, the lash will like pull your eye, right? The lash, like if it's stiff enough, the lash will be like in charge of how your eye lays. And that can be really uncomfortable for long-term wear. I used to have like eyeliner like all across my lids, so like the closeness to my lash line wasn't that big of a deal when I was first learning how to apply lashes. Over the years I've gotten better, and I think this is a technique I learned from someone on TikTok way back in the day, but like you put it on the strip. I really like the brush one. Oh, wait. Hi. But then you put a strip on your lash line so they can kind of like fuse together, rather than being like, oh, is it tacky enough? Is it gonna stay? And then like pressing it to hell on your eye. I think there's a lot of experimentation to be had with lash application on your face. I think we could start using them for eyebrows. We could start using them as mustaches. I think we need to start doing more with our lashes. I sometimes save my old lashes and have like dreams and schemes of just experimenting and having fun, and you know, I just haven't gotten around to it. So again, one of the more technical parts, like I like to have my mirror under me so I can just kind of like see where it is. I'm just kind of like placing it on top of my lashes and then scooching it into the skin. Sometimes I get it a little close to my, sometimes I gotta pull it out from my tear duct a little bit. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty close. This is a relatively new one, but like by the end of this, my my lash glue looks black because I'm doing it on top of my liner. Put it on the lashes and then kind of just like slide it into the skin. Even just figuring out like where on your eye you want your lashes to start, right? Is it all the way in? Is it halfway out? Is it whatever? Like, anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go get dressed. Maybe I'll give you like a little outfit reveal, and then I'm gonna be on my way to write poems. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do like the stripe situation. I will see you on the streets.